Today I want to talk about three baits that I'm going to have tied on at all times. First one, my all-time favorite bait, is a spinnerbait. This is the V&M Predator series. Notice I've got a chartreuse and whitish color. Uh, Personal preference, I love chartreuse and white, solid chartreuse or solid white. Those three colors I find work any time of the year. Spinnerbait's a very versatile bait. You can use it any time of the year in a variety of settings. Um, Sizes can vary. You can have them as light as a quarter ounce, the little small ones, all the way up to an ounce or bigger. I prefer using a 3/8 and a half ounce. Those are two of my favorite ones to use. I do have some bigger ones, but I hardly ever break out a bigger spinnerbait than a half ounce. I have my spinnerbaits set up on a Daiwa Tatula XT rod, 7'3", medium heavy fast tip, with a Daiwa Tatula CT 100H reel, which is a 6:3 ratio reel. I'm throwing it on High Seas fluorocarbon. That one is rigged up with High Seas 15-pound test fluorocarbon. No matter where I go or what I'm doing, I'm going to have a spinnerbait with me. Like I said, it's one of my all-time favorite baits. Whether I'm fishing co-angler, fishing solo, fishing from the bank, I've always got a spinnerbait. The next two that I want to talk about are ones that I find work best for a co-angler. Fishing co-angler, I'm fishing the back of the boat behind a boater. I'm fishing used water. So I'm looking for something that the boater may not have been looking for, or looking for fish that he either just passed up, overlooked, or wasn't interested in. The first one, and I know a lot of people don't like using a spinning rod and reel setup, but believe it or not, for me, it's a must-have as a co-angler, and that is going to be a shaky head setup. I've got this one on a Daiwa Tatula rod and reel. This is the quarter ounce Wu Tungsten shaky head. If I need to go lighter, I will. I very rarely go heavier than a quarter ounce with my shaky heads. Quarter ounce is usually the one that I have tied on at all times. It's very rare that I change that weight size with it. My personal preference, and once again, this is just my preference, I like to pair up my shaky head with either a V&M chopstick or a V&M pork pin. I just happened to grab two. This one's the Green Pumpkin Pearl Chartreuse tip. This is one that I'm going to have with me pretty much everywhere. And then this one is a Red Bug color pork pin. V&M chopstick, real quick. It's a little bit thicker bait. This is a 5-inch long bait. I'll pair it up onto my shaky head when I need something a little bit bulkier. If I need something a little thinner, I prefer throwing the V&M pork pin. It's a 6-inch bait. It starts off with about a medium size body and trails down to a very thinner point at the end. A little bit smaller presentation. Overall, it's a longer bait, but the bulkiness to it's not as bulky as the chopstick. It's a lot thinner. And then the last bait that last setup I'm gonna tell you about that I find works really well as a co-angler is a Carolina rig. This is a Daiwa 7.6 heavy fast action rod. I've got it paired up with the Daiwa 100XS Tatula CT XS reel. It's an 8.3 reel. This one I have pegged with a quarter ounce Wu Tungsten. Got it set a little bit higher than I may need right now. I'll judge it once I get to the lake. This one's set up for a tournament I have actually next week. I find that having a Carolina rig rigged up as a co-angler can be beneficial for finding fish that may be further out than where your boater's looking. If you're in an area where the boater may be sitting off the bank a little ways, fishing the bank, flipping docks or whatever, and you want something completely different, take out the Carolina rig, fish out towards the open water, see if there's any different structure, contours. Maybe there's a ledge, maybe there's a drop off that he's not looking at or she's not looking at. The boater may not be focused in on the open water areas. They may be zoomed in on that bank. As a co-angler, you need to be a little bit versatile. You need to be able to fish other areas. You need to be able to look at areas that may not have been looked at by someone else. So for me, these are three that I will always have tied up. Like I said, as a co-angler, a shaky head and a Carolina rig for me is a must-have. And then, like I said, spinnerbait, that's pretty much my all-time, all-year, everyday kind of bait. I like that one for scouting because you can cover a lot of water quickly with a spinnerbait. If I need to fish down deeper, slow roll it, try to keep it more in contact with the bottom, maybe up the size of the bait, the weight of the spinnerbait, and get it further down. If they're sitting higher up, I can go lighten it up a little bit, speed up my retrieve a little bit, lift it up in that water column a little bit more, fish it just under the surface, subsurface, maybe a foot or so if need be, and cover water quickly, depending on how quick you're moving. If you're fishing as a co-angler, it's going to depend on how quickly your boater is moving around. Fished with a few boaters that move really fast. They'll pull into an area, they'll flip once or twice and move to the next dock, flip once or twice and move to the next dock. Well, as a co-angler, you get back there and you starting to do a pattern and he's already taken off. You need something that you can move with them. Then again, you may get a boater who wants to sit in one area for a while and pick apart an area. So this gives you a little bit more options to choose from. You don't need to bring 8, 9, 10 rod and reels with you every time as a co-angler. You want to try to minimize how much gear you're bringing with you because you got to carry all that stuff there, carry it all back. Remember, you're sharing a boat with someone, you're sharing their boat, so you're going to be limited on space. You don't want to bombard their vessel with all kinds of gear. So I pack a ton of gear when I go because I never know what we're going to be presented with. Once I get there, then I gear down to just what I need for the tournament. Now, granted, I'm not going to pack everything with me and take it to every event, but I'm going to pack for different types of structure. I'm going to pack for different types of weather. I'm going to pack for different water conditions. I'm going to pack for different patterns and styles of fishing. And then once I can sit down with the boater or talk to them on the phone and determine what they're going to do on tournament day, then I can narrow down what I've brought to only bring what I need for that day and leave the rest in the truck or the hotel room. But anyway, like I said, these are the three that I rely on a lot. Spinnerbait is my go-to all the time, everyday bait. And then as a co-angler, the Carolina rig and the shaky head. Those are two that I personally think every co-angler should have. 3 total if you count the spinnerbait too. Every co-angler should have these 3 baits tied on at all times. You want to bring more, that's great. But like I said, you don't want to overdo it. Another thing is you don't want to have too many to choose from and then scatterbrain trying to figure out which bait to use. These 3 are a good starting point. You want to bring 5 rods with you, great. Now you've got 2 more. Maybe bring a crankbait with you, or depending on where you're at, maybe a square bill, deep diving, a lipless crankbait. I've got right now tied on, I've got a rattle trap tied on back here. I've got my bait glove on it because I definitely don't want to grab it barehanded and catch those hooks. So I've got a rattle trap rigged up for the next event. I think I have a square bill on one of the other ones back here. I just tied on a couple of them. I haven't finished tying up what I'm going to rig up. I'll do another video right before that event and go through what I have prepared and show you how I pack up and load up for a tournament. So hope y'all follow along, keep up with me, subscribe, like, whatever, and we'll see y'all soon.